Before the story begins, take just 2 seconds to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Stories like this are inspired by love, courage, and second chances, and your support helps us bring more unforgettable Afro-Korean dramas to life. Now, let's begin. The crash echoed through the operating room before anyone had time to react. Her blood pressure is dropping. She's crashing. Dr. Kang, we're losing her. The heart monitor screamed as the green line danced wildly across the screen. Dr. Kang Tae Sung didn't flinch. Increase the adrenaline. Prepare the bypass. His voice was calm, almost cold. Every doctor in Seoul knew that voice. It belonged to the billionaire surgeon who had performed impossible operations, saved politicians, celebrities, and children who had been given no hope. People called him a miracle worker. But today, even miracles seemed to be running out. A young nurse standing near the anesthesia machine stared at the monitor, then at Tae Sung's hands. She swallowed hard. "Doctor." No one answered her. She spoke louder. "Doctor, the clamp is slipping." Every head turned. The room froze. One of the senior surgeons glared at her. "Stay in your place." But she didn't back down. "If it slips another centimeter, she'll bleed internally." Silence. Tae Sung looked at the clamp. His eyes narrowed. He adjusted it immediately. The bleeding slowed. The patient's heartbeat stabilized. The monitor settled into a steady rhythm. A long breath escaped everyone in the room. The senior surgeon looked stunned. The nurse lowered her eyes, expecting to be scolded. Instead, Tae Sung removed his gloves without saying a word and walked out. Not even a thank you. Not even a glance. The staff whispered among themselves. "She's finished." No one interrupts Dr. Kang. He'll have her transferred before sunset. The young woman simply smiled to herself. "I wasn't trying to impress him," she whispered. "I was trying to save her." Her name was Zinhle Mkhize. She had arrived from Durban, South Africa, only 3 weeks earlier, after earning one of the most competitive international nursing fellowships in Asia. She had heard stories about Korea's most famous doctor, cold, arrogant, impossible to please. She didn't believe half of them. People in pain often looked colder than they really were. As she stepped into the hallway, another nurse hurried toward her. "What were you thinking?" "What?" "You corrected Dr. Kang." "I corrected the situation. You don't understand." "No," Zinhle replied calmly. "Maybe I don't." The other nurse sighed. "You'll understand soon." Across the hospital, Tae Sung entered his private office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline. Luxury surrounded him. Awards lined the shelves. Medical journals carried his face on their covers. His company owned hospitals across Korea. His investment portfolio was worth billions. Everything people dreamed of. He had. Everything except peace. His assistant knocked gently. "Sir, the chairman wants to congratulate you on another successful surgery." "I'm busy." He also mentioned arranging another dinner with the Han family. "No." Their daughter specifically requested, "No." The assistant hesitated. "This is the 7th proposal you've rejected this year." Tae Sung finally looked up. "I'm not looking for a wife." "Sir, I'm looking for silence." The assistant nodded and quietly left. Minutes later, security footage from the operating room appeared on Tae Sung's monitor. He replayed the moment. Again. 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 The nurse had been right. She had noticed something every experienced surgeon in the room had missed. Interesting. He closed the video before anyone entered. The next morning, Zinhle walked into the pediatric ward, carrying balloons she had bought with her own money. A little boy frowned. "I don't like hospitals." "I don't either," she admitted. His eyes widened. "You work here." "I know." "Then why don't you like them?" "Because children should be playing outside instead." The boy giggled. Nearby, another little girl refused to eat breakfast. Zinhle sat beside her. "What if we make a deal?" "What deal?" "You take 3 bites. And then? I'll sing." The girl laughed. "You're serious?" "Very." 3 bites later, The entire ward echoed with Zinhle singing softly. Parents smiled. Children clapped. Even exhausted nurses paused to watch. From the hallway, Tae Sung stood unnoticed. He had come to inspect the ward. Instead, he found himself watching the new nurse make an entire room forget they were in a hospital. One of the doctors noticed him. "Sir?" He immediately turned away. "Continue your rounds." "Yes, doctor." As he walked off, he couldn't explain why the sound of her laughter stayed with him. That afternoon, the hospital cafeteria buzzed with conversation. Zinhle balanced a tray while searching for an empty seat. Without noticing, she turned sharply. Coffee splashed across an expensive charcoal suit. Gasps filled the room. Someone whispered, "Oh no." Another muttered, "She's dead." Zinhle looked up. Dr. Kang Tae Sung. She immediately grabbed napkins. "I'm so sorry." She carefully handed them to him. "I'll pay the cleaning bill." The entire cafeteria waited. Nobody had ever spilled anything on him. Nobody. His assistant stepped forward. "Do you even know how much this suit costs?" Zinhle blinked. "No. It's worth more than your—" Tae Sung raised one finger. The assistant fell silent. Zinhle sighed. "I truly am sorry." He looked directly into her eyes. No fear. No flirting. No desperate apology. Just honesty. "It's only coffee," he said. The cafeteria became eerily quiet. He simply walked away. One nurse grabbed another's arm. "Did that just happen? I've worked here 6 years. I've never heard him say, 'It's only coffee.'" Word spread through the hospital before sunset. The billionaire doctor hadn't punished the South African nurse. Some people were curious. Others were suspicious. One person wasn't happy. Dr. Choi Ji-eun folded her arms after hearing the rumors. "So that's the woman." A colleague nodded. "She embarrassed him in surgery yesterday and spilled coffee on him today." Ji-eun frowned. "Yet she's still here." She had admired Tae Sung for years. Everyone knew it. Everyone except Tae Sung. She wasn't about to let a foreign nurse become the center of his attention. The following day, the hospital chairman visited the pediatric ward unexpectedly. Children surrounded Zinhle, laughing as she folded paper animals. The chairman watched quietly. Then he smiled. "You remind me why hospitals exist." Before she could answer, another voice interrupted. "The board meeting starts in 5 minutes, Chairman." It was Tae Sung. Their eyes met briefly. The chairman chuckled. "Kang, have you finally met Nurse Zinhle?" Tae Sung gave a short nod. "Yes." And there was a pause. The children looked between them. Finally, Tae Sung spoke. "Transfer her." Every smile disappeared. The room went silent. Zinhle's heart sank. Had she made a mistake? Was everyone right about him after all? Then he finished his sentence. "Transfer her to my cardiac team, effective tomorrow morning." The chairman's eyebrows rose in surprise. Even Tae Sung's assistant stared in disbelief. Zinhle couldn't tell whether she had just received the greatest opportunity of her life, or stepped directly into the most dangerous chapter of it. Zinhle barely slept that night. Every warning she had heard since arriving in Seoul echoed in her mind. Dr. Kang doesn't tolerate mistakes. Uns Moonlight, he expects perfection. People beg to join his team, and most don't last a month. She stared at the ceiling of her small apartment. What have I gotten myself into? The next morning, she arrived 30 minutes early. She expected to be the first person there. She wasn't. Tae Sung was already reviewing patient files with a cup of black coffee beside him. Without looking up, he said, "You're 3 minutes late." Zinhle blinked. "My shift starts at 7. "It starts at 7. You're here at 6:30. She looked at the wall clock. It read 6:33. He finally looked at her. "If you're on my team, be early enough to prepare, not just to arrive." She nodded. "I understand." "Good." He handed her 3 patient files. "Read them. I want to know what you notice." She took the files without another word. Across the room, Dr. Choi Ji-eun watched with narrowed eyes. "So he's testing her already," one of the nurses whispered. "He never tests new staff himself." Ji-eun folded her arms. "Exactly." An hour later, Tae Sung returned. "What did you find?" Zinhle pointed to the first chart. "This patient keeps developing infections after every procedure. And the family can't afford the recommended medication." He nodded once. "The second? She's pretending to be stronger than she is because she doesn't want her son to worry." A faint flicker crossed his face. "The third?" Zinhle hesitated. "The little boy doesn't need another doctor first." "What does he need?" "He needs someone to convince him he isn't going to die." The room fell quiet. Tae Sung closed the files. "Come with me." They entered the boy's room. The child immediately hid beneath his blanket. "I don't want another operation." His mother burst into tears. "I've tried everything." Tae Sung walked toward the bed. "Your surgery is necessary." The boy cried harder. Zinhle gently touched Tae Sung's sleeve. "May I?" He stepped back. She crouched beside the bed. "I heard you're the strongest football fan in Korea." The blanket shifted. A tiny eye peeked out. "I'm not." "No? No. Then I must have the wrong room." The boy slowly lowered the blanket. "My favorite team loses all the time." She gasped dramatically. "Then they need you cheering louder." A tiny smile appeared. 5 minutes later, he was laughing. 10 minutes later, he agreed to the surgery. His mother hugged Zinhle through tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much." As they left the room, Tae Sung asked quietly, "How did you know that would work?" "I didn't." "You guessed?" "I listened." He looked at her for a long moment before walking away. For the first time in years, someone had reminded him that medicine wasn't only about scalpels. By lunchtime, the hospital gossip had reached every floor. Dr. Kang spent half the morning with Nurse Zinhle. They were discussing patients. They actually talked. I even saw him waiting for her answer. Ji-eun slammed a folder onto her desk. "This has gone far enough." That afternoon, the board gathered to discuss the hospital's annual charity gala. One executive smiled. "Dr. Kang, several prominent families have asked whether you'll attend with a guest." "No." "The Kim family wishes to introduce." "No." "The ambassador's daughter." "No." The chairman laughed. "Kang, one day you'll have to stop rejecting every woman in Seoul." Tae Sung answered without emotion. "I didn't become a surgeon to find a wife." After the meeting, Ji-eun caught up with him. "You've been avoiding me." "I've been working. We've known each other for years." "Yes. I thought we understood each other." "We do." She smiled hopefully. "Then have dinner with me tonight." "No." Her smile disappeared. "Because of her?" He frowned. "Because of who?" "The South African nurse." Silence. Then he walked away. "I don't discuss my staff." Ji-eun watched him leave, humiliation burning inside her. "If I can't have your attention," she whispered, "neither will she." The next day, the cardiac ward became chaotic. An elderly patient suddenly collapsed. Code blue. Doctors and nurses rushed into the room. The man's heart stopped. Tae Sung immediately began directing the team. "Start compressions. Epinephrine. Charge the defibrillator." Everything happened at lightning speed. Then, the patient's frightened wife grabbed Tae Sung's arm. "Please don't let him die." Security tried pulling her away. She resisted. The room descended into confusion. Without hesitation, Zinhle stepped in. She embraced the elderly woman. "Look at me." The woman sobbed uncontrollably. "He's all I have." "I know." "No, you don't. I know what it feels like to be afraid of losing someone." The woman slowly relaxed enough for security to guide her outside. Inside the room, the doctors continued fighting for the patient's life. Minutes later, a heartbeat returned. Cheers erupted. The old woman collapsed into Zinhle's arms, crying tears of relief. "You gave me hope." "No," Zinhle whispered. "He did." She glanced toward Tae Sung. He had already moved on to his next patient, as though saving lives were simply another task on a checklist. That evening, Zinhle finished her shift long after sunset. As she stepped outside the hospital, heavy rain poured from the sky. She sighed. "I forgot my umbrella." A sleek black car stopped beside her. The rear window lowered. It was Tae Sung. "Get in." She looked surprised. "You don't have to. You'll catch pneumonia." She laughed softly. "I've survived worse rain in Durban. This isn't Durban." She smiled. "No, it isn't." After a brief hesitation, she climbed in. The drive was silent. Finally, she spoke. "Can I ask you something? If it's appropriate, why did you transfer me to your team?" He stared out the window. "You notice things. There are many talented nurses. You notice people." She didn't know how to answer that. After another moment, he asked, "Why did you become a nurse?" She looked down at her hands. "My father died because the nearest hospital didn't have enough staff." His head turned toward her. "I was 16. He waited 6 hours. They couldn't save him." Her voice trembled. "I promised myself no family around me would ever feel that helpless again." For the first time, Tae Sung saw something familiar in her eyes. Pain, not self-pity. Purpose. The car stopped outside her apartment building. "Thank you for the ride," she said. As she reached for the door handle, he spoke quietly. "Your father would be proud." She froze. Her eyes filled with tears. No one had said those words to her in years. She smiled through the emotion. "Thank you, doctor." She stepped into the rain and disappeared inside. Tae Sung remained parked for several seconds. His driver glanced in the mirror. "Sir? Drive." Neither of them noticed the camera across the street. A reporter lowered his telephoto lens and grinned. "So, Korea's most eligible billionaire is secretly driving a foreign nurse home." He checked the photos. "They're going to pay a fortune for these." By sunrise the next morning, those images would be on every gossip website in the country. And neither Tae Sung nor Zinhle had any idea that their lives were about to change forever. The headline exploded across every phone in the hospital before 7 o'clock. "Billionaire doctor's secret late-night date with foreign nurse." Another article appeared minutes later. "Has Seoul's most eligible bachelor finally fallen in love?" By the time Zinhle walked through the hospital entrance, dozens of employees were pretending not to stare. Some whispered, some smiled. Others looked at her with open judgment. She ignored them and headed toward the locker room. As she opened her locker, Dr. Choi Ji-eun stepped inside. "So, congratulations." Zinhle looked confused. "For what?" "For becoming famous overnight." She held up her phone. The pictures filled the screen. Zinhle's face went pale. "It isn't what it looks like." Ji-eun laughed coldly. "That's exactly what every woman says." It was raining. Convenient. He simply gave me a ride home. And somehow, photographers just happened to be waiting? "I didn't call anyone." "No," Ji-eun replied, "but you certainly benefited." Before Zinhle could answer, another nurse rushed into the room. "The chairman wants everyone in conference room 3, now." The atmosphere inside the conference room was suffocating. Board members sat around the table. The public relations director looked exhausted. The hospital sponsors are demanding answers. One executive slammed his hand on the table. "Our reputation is at stake." Another looked directly at Zinhle. "Since your arrival, there has been nothing but controversy." Zinhle lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry." Tae Sung finally spoke. "She has nothing to apologize for." The room became silent. A board member frowned. "The public believes she's using you. The public believes many things. The shareholders are nervous. They're welcome to perform surgery themselves if reputation matters more than patients." The chairman cleared his throat. "Kang," another executive interrupted. "Dr. Kang, perhaps Nurse Zinhle should be transferred to another branch until the scandal dies down." "No." "Or perhaps placed on temporary leave." "No." The executive's voice hardened. "Then how do you suggest we protect this hospital?" Tae Sung stood slowly. "The truth usually works." Without another word, he walked out. The meeting dissolved into tense whispers. Zinhle remained seated, feeling every eye on her. Later that afternoon, she found Tae Sung reviewing scans in his office. She knocked softly. "You defended me. I corrected misinformation. You didn't have to." He continued studying the scans. "People who save lives deserve fairness." She smiled sadly. "I think my presence is causing more harm than good." "It isn't. They're attacking the hospital because of me. They're attacking because gossip sells." She hesitated. "Maybe I should resign." For the first time, he looked directly at her. "No." The firmness in his voice surprised even him. She nodded quietly and left. Outside the office, Ji-eun had heard everything. Her jealousy deepened. That evening, Zinhle called home. Her mother's smiling face appeared on the screen. "My daughter." "Hi, Mama. You look tired. It's been a long week." Nomusa noticed the forced smile immediately. "What happened?" Zinhle sighed. "The newspapers think I'm dating my boss." Her younger brother, Tabo, leaned into the camera. "What?" Ayanda burst into laughter. "Our sister has become famous." "Mama, tell her to stop." Nomusa's expression remained serious. "Are they treating you well?" "Most people are." "And this doctor?" Zinhle paused. "He's different." "Different how?" "He barely smiles." "So why are you smiling while talking about him?" Zinhle froze. She hadn't realized she was. "I have to go." Her family laughed as the call ended. Across the city, Tae Sung sat alone inside his enormous penthouse. Dinner remained untouched. The silence around him was familiar, comfortable. Yet tonight, it felt heavier than usual. His eyes drifted toward an old wooden box sitting on the bookshelf. He hadn't opened it in years. Slowly, he walked over. Inside was a faded engagement ring, a photograph, and a handwritten note. He stared at the picture of the woman he had once planned to marry. "I almost forgot your voice," he whispered. Memories crashed over him. The operating room, the failed surgery, the monitor falling silent. Her hand slipping from his own scream echoing through the room. He slammed the box shut. No. His phone rang. It was the chairman. "Kang, what is it?" "I've known you for 15 years. I know. You've changed. I haven't. You defended someone today. I defended the truth." The chairman chuckled. "Keep telling yourself that." The line disconnected. For the first time in years, Tae Sung questioned whether everyone else could see something he couldn't. The following morning, the pediatric ward prepared for a charity event. Children laughed while decorating colorful paper hearts. One little girl tugged on Zinhle's sleeve. "Nurse." "Yes? Is Dr. Kang scary?" She smiled. "Sometimes." "Does he hate people?" "No." "Then why doesn't he smile?" Before Zinhle could answer, Tae Sung walked into the room. The children became quiet. The little girl marched straight toward him. "Doctor." "Yes?" "Smile." The nurses gasped. Nobody spoke to him like that. He looked down at her tiny face. "I don't smile very well." "That's okay." She reached up and poked his cheek. "You can practice." The room waited. Then, something unbelievable happened. The corner of Tae Sung's mouth lifted. Just slightly. But it was enough. The children erupted into cheers. "He smiled! I saw it! He really smiled!" Even the nurses began laughing. Tae Sung looked almost embarrassed. His eyes met Zinhle's. She smiled warmly. "There. What? You smile just fine." For a brief moment, the walls around his heart cracked. Unfortunately, someone captured the entire moment on video. Within hours, it spread across social media. The Ice Prince doctor smiles because of one woman. Millions watched. Millions commented. Some celebrated, others attacked. One anonymous account posted something far more dangerous. "Investigate Nurse Zinhle's immigration records. She doesn't belong here anyway." The comments spread like wildfire. By evening, television reporters had gathered outside the hospital. Questions became accusations. Accusations became harassment. As Zinhle finished her shift, microphones were shoved toward her. Did you seduce Dr. Kang? Are you marrying him for money? Did the hospital hire you because of your relationship? She tried walking past. Please. Another reporter blocked her path. Answer the question. Suddenly, a firm voice echoed behind them. Move! The crowd turned. Tae Sung stepped forward. Security followed close behind. The reporters hesitated. He looked at them without emotion. If your next question isn't about medicine, leave my hospital. The reporters slowly backed away. Zinhle finally breathed again. I'm sorry, she whispered. You've done nothing wrong. But this keeps getting worse. He looked at the cameras still pointed at them. No. His voice became quieter. They are. The next morning, the board made its decision without informing either of them. A sealed envelope was placed on the chairman's desk. Inside was an official recommendation. Suspend Nurse Zinhle Mkhize immediately pending investigation. The chairman sighed deeply as he picked up the phone. He dreaded making the call, because he knew one thing with absolute certainty. The moment Kang Tae Sung found out, the hospital would never be the same. The chairman's call never came. Before he could reach for the phone, Tae Sung walked into his office with the sealed envelope already in his hand. His expression revealed nothing. When were you going to tell me? The chairman sighed. I was trying to find another solution. There isn't one. The board believes suspending Zinhle will calm the public. They're wrong. Kang, they're sacrificing the only innocent person in this. The chairman stood. You built this hospital. I know. You also have a responsibility to protect it. Tae Sung placed the envelope on the desk. I am protecting it. How? By refusing to let fear decide who deserves to work here. Minutes later, every board member was summoned back into the conference room. The atmosphere was tense. One executive spoke first. The suspension papers are ready. Tae Sung slid them back across the table. They won't be signed. You don't have the final authority. He calmly removed his hospital ID badge and placed it beside the papers. Then accept my resignation. The room went completely silent. The chairman's eyes widened. What are you doing? If Zinhle leaves because of lies, I leave because of truth. Another executive laughed nervously. You'd abandon a billion-dollar hospital over one nurse? No. His voice remained steady. I'd abandon a hospital that forgets why it exists. No one spoke. The chairman slowly smiled. I've waited years to see this version of you. He looked around the room. The suspension is cancelled. The executives protested immediately. You can't ignore the sponsors. The media will destroy us. The chairman answered firmly. Then let them explain why they're attacking a nurse who has done nothing except save lives. The meeting ended without another vote. Outside the room, Zinhle stood frozen. She had heard everything. Tears filled her eyes. When Tae Sung walked past, she whispered, "Why?" He stopped. "Why what? Why would you risk everything for me?" He looked at her quietly. "Because someone should." She couldn't hold back the tears anymore. For the first time since arriving in Korea, she realized she was no longer fighting alone. Life slowly returned to normal. The reporters lost interest. The rumors faded. Patients kept arriving. Surgeries continued. Children still waited for smiles. One afternoon, Tae Sung found Zinhle sitting alone in the hospital garden during her lunch break. She was watching butterflies land among the flowers. You finally took a break. She laughed. 5 whole minutes. He sat beside her. Neither of them spoke for a while. Finally, he broke the silence. I need to tell you something. She turned toward him. I was engaged. I know. He looked surprised. The chairman told me. He shouldn't have. I'm glad he did. Tae Sung stared at the ground. She died on my operating table. His voice almost broke. I was the surgeon. You weren't just the surgeon. He frowned. You loved her. I still see that day every time I close my eyes. You saved hundreds of people after that. It doesn't erase one failure. It wasn't a failure. It feels like one. She gently placed her hand over his. You punish yourself every day. I deserve it. No. He looked at her. You deserve to heal too. Those words struck harder than any accusation ever had. For years, thousands of people had called him brilliant. Nobody had ever told him he deserved healing. Weeks passed. Without realizing it, Tae Sung laughed more often. He started eating with his team instead of alone. He visited the pediatric ward, even when he had no reason to. The hospital staff noticed. So the rumors were true. He's actually changing. The children aren't afraid of him anymore. Even Ji-eun watched from a distance. One evening, she approached Zinhle. I owe you an apology. Zinhle looked surprised. I judged you. You were protecting someone you cared about. I thought you wanted his money. Zinhle smiled softly. I didn't even know he was a billionaire when we met. Ji-eun laughed for the first time. I believe you. The two women shook hands. Old resentment quietly disappeared. Just when life finally seemed peaceful, everything changed. During a routine shift, Zinhle suddenly stopped walking. The patient file slipped from her hands. Her vision blurred. A sharp pain shot through her chest. She grabbed the nurse's station. Zinhle? She collapsed. The entire ward erupted into panic. Tae Sung, call Dr. Kang. He reached her within seconds. Zinhle? She tried to speak. No words came. Moments later, test results arrived. The room became silent. A congenital heart defect, one that had quietly worsened over the years. The senior cardiologist looked at Tae Sung. She needs surgery immediately. Another doctor swallowed hard. Only one surgeon in Korea has enough experience for this procedure. Every eye turned toward him. Tae Sung didn't move. His hands began trembling. The memory returned. Another operating room. Another woman he loved. Another heartbeat fading into silence. He stepped backward. I can't. The chairman walked closer. Yes, you can. If I lose her, you haven't lost her. I lost someone before, and because of that, you've saved thousands since. Zinhle weakly reached for his hand. Her voice was barely a whisper. Tae Sung. He leaned closer. I'm scared. He closed his eyes. So am I. She managed a faint smile. Then, let's be brave together. 16 hours. Not one member of the surgical team left. Outside, rain poured over Seoul. Inside the waiting room, nurses prayed. Doctors paced. The chairman sat in complete silence. Across the world in Durban, Nomusa, Thabo and Ayanda stayed awake through the night, praying that Zinhle would come home alive one day. Inside the operating room, sweat rolled down Tae Sung's face. Every movement mattered. Every heartbeat mattered. Then, the monitor suddenly flattened. No pulse. The room froze. Tae Sung closed his eyes for 1 second. He heard Zinhle's words. You deserve to heal too. He opened his eyes. No. He refused to surrender. Again. The team continued. Minutes felt like hours. Then, a single beep. Another. Another. The heartbeat returned. Strong. Steady. Alive. Relief swept through the room. Several nurses burst into tears. Tae Sung simply stood there, unable to move. For the first time in 8 years, he cried. Not because he had lost someone, because this time, he hadn't. 3 weeks later, Zinhle walked slowly into the hospital lobby for the first time since her surgery. She expected a quiet return. Instead, every doctor, nurse, cleaner, security guard, patient and child was waiting. They applauded as she entered. Children rushed forward with handmade cards. One little boy hugged her tightly. We missed you. I missed you too. The crowd parted. Tae Sung walked toward her. He held something in his hand. Not a diamond ring. Her old stethoscope. The first day we met, he said, smiling. You used this to hear the hearts of strangers. He placed it gently in her hands. You also heard the broken one inside me. He slowly knelt before her. This time, he opened a small velvet box. I rejected every woman because I believed loving again would destroy me. He looked into her tear-filled eyes. But you didn't ask me to forget my past. You simply taught me there was still a future. Zinhle Mkhize, will you spend that future with me? She laughed through happy tears. You really chose the hospital lobby? The children insisted. The pediatric patients immediately shouted together, "Say yes." The entire lobby burst into laughter. She nodded. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. Cheers echoed through the hospital. The children jumped up and down. Even Jiun wiped away a tear. The chairman smiled proudly. Tae Sung slipped the ring onto her finger before pulling her into a warm embrace. For everyone watching, it wasn't the story of a billionaire finding love. It was the story of two healers who had rescued each other's hearts. And sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't performed with a scalpel. Sometimes, it begins with kindness. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us your favorite moment. Would you have been brave enough to correct the world's greatest surgeon like Zinhle did? Share your thoughts below, and we'll see you in the next unforgettable Afro-Korean love story.